What's up everyone, it's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be covering the Spright deck that everyone's been kind of doomsdaying over, while also giving some of my thoughts on the deck. I'll be showing two replays in which I believe you'll kind of get enough of an idea of what the deck does after watching these two replays. So, before I begin, if you happen to enjoy content like this, clicking those thumbs up and subscribe buttons would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. So to start, we'll see that the player in red is going to get the first turn here, and we're going to see that they both opened extremely similar, with both players opening Prosperity, 3 hand traps, and just to show the versatility of the stuff that you can play in this deck, as we're seeing 3 different hand traps by both players here. And they both got a level 2, but unfortunately for the player in blue, Red Spright isn't a starter. It's an extender and a negation for monster effects if you happen to control another link level or rank 2 Spright that you contribute for its effect. So we'll see that the Gamma is going to hit the Swap Frog, ending the turn here, and from here we can also see that the player in blue is going to use the Prosperity, in which he is going to excavate the 3 here, add the Smashers, then he's going to put back the Gamma and the Imperm, as he's going to use the starter here, which is going to get hit by Ash. And now we're going to see a take back here, in which I see, so the player in red is going to allow that, which honestly is better off for educational purposes for this replay. So we'll see that the starter being top deck here is pretty nice, as it's going to get the Jet, and now the Jet can use its effect, which I believe it's going to be hit by a hand trap here, which it's going to get hit by the Ogre, but it does allow it to get the starter. So he will set the starter, and now we'll see a normal summon of Dupe after the player in blue finally gets another level 2 in order to make use of his red Spright. And now we'll see the gigantic Spright, and I'm going to read this, as this is the first big main deck monster that you kind of want to check when you're playing against this deck. If you want to stop the deck during its combo because you feel you have the hand to, I feel like this is the correct place to hit it, and it reads, for this card's Exceed summon, you can treat link 2 monsters you control as level 2. If this card has a fusion, synchro, exceed, and or link monster as material, its original attack is doubled. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. Neither player can special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except level rank link 2 monsters. Also, detach 1 material from your monster, and if you do, special summon 1 level 2 monster. So not only is it an extender, but the fact that it can get you just any level 2 monster, and it locks both players into level 2 monsters, basically shutting down a future Nibiru or forcing out a Gamma, since Driver wouldn't be able to be special summoned after it uses its effect, definitely makes it a strong monster. So we'll see that the Imperm is going to hit it here, as we're going to get in for a direct attack, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it's because it's going to prompt the starter here, which the blue is going to use its effect. It's going to add the Draco back by accident, but you'll see he's going to put the Draco back into hand and get the Jet. But more importantly, what this allows the player in blue to do is go into Downerd and Zeus, and now he has a Zeus with 4 materials. A Zeus with 4 materials is particularly strong against Spright, and you'll see that the Spright deck kind of relies on having a level 2 on board, as you see the Ronin Totem get normal summoned, and he has the Spright, Jet, and the blue in hand. And because there's no point of Zeusing here, as he would be able to just banish the swap in graveyard and revive the Ronin, the player in blue is going to decide to wait, which is the correct option. And from here, you're going to see the Jet use its effect, get the Smashers. Then he's going to use the Smashers in order to banish the starter. And we'll see if... Okay, no, so he's actually going to not let the Jet resolve, and he's going to imperm that. So we see another little bit of a take back, which is perfectly fine. The players are still learning the decks. Both of them are fairly high rated, and I know that the player in blue is very well known for Flunder. So just kind of take this entire match and replay as a learning experience, not just for them, but for maybe the people watching, including yourself, that want to learn the deck. So you'll see that the Spright here is going to get hit by the Zeus, which again is correct because you don't want that thing to resolve. And now you're forcing out resources from the player in red's hand, as the blue is going to get hit by the imperm. And now we're going to see a rank 2. So the Veiler there put the player on blue on having another name. And I'm pretty sure that he knew that he didn't have the other name because he had gone into Aqua, he had gone into blue, and all of that without special summoning red for the Zeus. Either way, it probably wouldn't have mattered, as the player in red was such on low resources, and the Zeus would have been prompted at the same time regardless. But you'll see that the gigantic Spright is going to go to the graveyard here, as we're going to get an Ogre draw. The starter is going to go back to the graveyard, as that was an accident. And we'll then see the normal summon of Swap Frog, as we'll see the Ghost Ogre hit the Swap Frog in order to take the level 2 off board. As you see, he was able to get through all 3 of his Swap Frogs, and I don't know what's happening here. So the Swap Frog is going to the graveyard, as we see the revival of the Ronin right here with the banish of the Swap Frog, and this is basically what he has to do to wall. So we'll see the Spright carrot, as they're kind of just spamming clicks here, and we'll see another DD Crow, as again the player in red is just forced to wall here because he can't necessarily do anything. So we'll see the player in red set the Smashers. Again, we're just going through passing here, and we're going to see a Prosperity for 3 more, and that's going to get a Swap Frog, which is going to force the scoop here. So with the game being 0-1, and that was a pretty long game 1, I'll take you on to game 2. So to start game 2, you'll see that both players opened multiple hand traps again, except unfortunately the player in red drew 2 Ash, but he also opened access to his adventure package, and he has the Prosperity again. So this is definitely going to be an interesting match, as we have the adventure stuff online for the Imperm or the Gamma. So you'll see that the Swap Frog is going to come to hand, which with the adventure stuff, I mean, I understand why, I guess, but you'll see that the right is going to come down here, which I guess the Fateful can always add an Enchantress, but you'll see that the Fateful is going to use its effect here, and we're going to see the addition of the Griffin Rider and the descent of the Ash here in order to get the Fateful to resolve and then get the Griffin, and then he can get the Draco back off the Fateful Adventure when the Griffin is summoned. So we'll see the starter get hit by the Ash here, as we're going to see the Gamma get hit by the Griffin, and we won't see an Imperm on that, as a Prosperity is coming out now. And again, I can understand why you don't necessarily need to overcommit to stopping your opponent when you have the Prosperity for 6 here with 2 extenders in hand. So we'll see that the red reboot is now going to be added to the hand, as the player in blue is just going to put back his stuff in the bottom, normal summon the blue, special summon the jet's going to get its effect, and now it can add the starter. Now he can go into the link to, which reads, 2 monsters including a level rank link 2 monster cannot be used as a link material the turn it is link summoned, which doesn't really matter because you can special summon Gigantic Spright with a level 2 and a link monster, and that's an exceed monster, so your opponent cannot target monsters this card points to with card effects. During the main phase quick effect, you can target 1 level 2 monster in your graveyard, or if your opponent controls a monster, you can target 1 rank link 2 monster instead. Special summon it. You can only use this effect of the Spright Elf once per turn. So basically a monster reborn here for the Spright Blue, and that's going to get hit by the Called by the Grave. And nice reboot, as the Called by the Grave is a spell and they're both 1/0, so very interesting interactions here, lack thereof. And we'll see the set 2 into the top deck Prosperity, as we're now going to see the Fateful Adventure add a card again, which is going to get the Water Enchantress this time, send the Draco back. Now the Draco back can equip itself onto the token. The Draco back can use its effect, which it won't yet, and the Prosperity will add whatever he chooses to get, as we see a Deck Devastation Virus in the side deck, which I assume is where it's from, and we'll get the Draco back to bounce the Elf, which is going to prompt the Elf's effect, special summoning back the Jet. The Jet is going to get the search for a spell trap Spright card because it was special summoned, and there's no response for this, so we'll see the addition of the starter, and now we can get the Swap Frog special summon off the discard of the Water Enchantress, and then the swap will send the Ronin, which then the swap can use its effect to return, normal summon itself again, send a swap, and now he has the level 2s online to get into his extra deck monsters, as we'll see that the Ronin's going to come out here. He'll go into the Toad, and now he has responses for a lot of his cards here, as the Draco back can bounce something, the Toad can negate something, so we'll see the Jet come in instead of the blue because he forgot the Called by, and again, this is just a friendly match, as they both are testing the deck and trying to improve with it for when the format comes, as this is a heavily anticipated deck to take over the meta and it really be the only thing that we see get representation, as we'll see the player in red start to really put pressure on board here, as that red reboot is just doing nothing. The Toad is on board. He already has access to one of his level 2s, or the Adventure Engine is on full steam, as we see the starter activate here, and we're going to see it resolve, as it's going to special summon the red, and now we're going to see an imperm on the Toad, which is going to prompt the Toad's effect, and it steals the imperm, so now the Toad can also get back the Swap Frog, which now we'll also see the starter come down to get another level 2 for the player in blue. So now the player in blue can add the Jet off of the blue, and he can special summon the Jet because he controls other level 2s, and he can add the Smashers off of the Jet. So the Smashers will then use its effect, or one of its 3, and it's going to banish a Spright card in this scenario, and it's going to banish a set. So we'll see that there's a little bit of back and forth going on here, as the Jet is going to get banished, and you can see a little bit of bashing towards the adventure token in the Spright deck, and I kind of understand, as you want to normal summon the Swap Frog, but with that, I'll take you on to Game 3. On to Game 3, and it looks like we're going to get another good one as we see Deep Sea Diva and 3 hand traps along with Deck Devastation Virus versus Dark Ruler, Imperm, Ash, Jet, and Blue. So, as you can see, very consistent decks. A lot of people have compared this deck to Zoo because of its ability to pop off on one card, just kind of play with so many generic cards. But with that being said, the weakness this deck has is that kind of like Sword Soul, it does require you to have that extra monster. But as you see with Sword Soul, Sword Soul is still a top deck and doesn't truly make that much of a difference. It's just that Zoo is still more consistent overall, in my opinion. But as you see, we'll see the Jet add the starter, and the red can then special summon itself, and now he has ways to stop a hand trap. As we see 5 level 2s on board, the gigantic Spright is coming, which is likely going to get hit by something here, as it's going to get hit with the ogre. And now we're going to see the red activate its effect, which is going to get hit by the Veiler, and that's going to get rid of the gigantic Spright. So with the ability to out the gigantic Spright and still having cards to play with, this game is far from over. So you'll see a little bit of more spamming in the chat, as we're going to see the Oni Bamaru come out, which is pretty cool because I remember when this card came out, there was like no level 2 deck besides Paleo, and that was more of a control deck that went into Toad. But there wasn't really a combo-y toolbox deck like Spright, or even a much worse version of that to bring this card out, and as you see, it's definitely an option in Spright as a rank 2. So we'll see the Oni Bamaru use its effect, getting rid of the gigantic Spright, and then it could attack directly. So from here we'll see a set, and we'll get a Spright Carrot here, which is one that we haven't seen throughout the entire video. And if you control a level link 2 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can special summon Spright Carrot once per turn this way. When your opponent activates a spell, trap card, or effect, quick effect, you contribute 1 other level rank link 2 monster. Negate that effect. Then if you tributed a rank or link 2 monster, you can destroy that card. So it's basically the alternate red, as red is the monster negator, Blue and Jet are your searchers for your Spright cards, and Carrot is the spell and trap negate. But you'll see that the normal summon of the Swap Frog is going to come down, as it's going to send the Rodin. Then we're going to get the Oni Bamaru effect, which is going to banish the gigantic Spright. He'll go into the elf here, then special summon back the Jet. The Jet can get the search, which is going to add him a starter here. And now the starter can activate, getting him another level 2, which is what I think is going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen, as it brings out a blue. And the blue is going to use its effect, and it's going to add another copy of Jet in order to keep his engine going. So gigantic Spright will come down on the board here, as we're going to see a Nibiru on the summon of gigantic Spright, and this effectively ends the Spright player's turn, maybe, as he also has the Deck Devastation Virus. So after the Nibiru, we'll see the token, Ronin, and Jet hit the board, and from here he can go into another copy of Elf, which he has to pass on that. And we'll then see a normal summon of Carrot, as we're then going to see a special summon of Red off of the Elf. And now we're going to see an attack there, as he's going to go into the Codebreaker Virus Swordsman, and the reason he's doing this is because he has the Deck Devastation Virus. So as you see, he's going to be able to get back his gigantic Spright from the Oni Bamaru, and now he can use the deck devastation virus, sending all his monsters to the graveyard, but he still has access to the adventure token, which gives him a play as he's able to get over the gigantic Spright, but the Smashers will do its thing to also banish the gigantic Spright and the Fateful Adventure. So the top deck prosperity is going to be huge here, as we're going to see a mill for 6, and one of those is blue. And I believe that the player in red, that's a Dark Ruler No More set, he has nothing else to stop the player in blue from making a full board, as we're going to see a pass, because of course the player in blue still needs another Spright card, or another level 2, but there's your level 2. And we're going to see this game kind of effectively end here, as the player in red is going to scoop. And that's just the first match that I wanted to show to give you a feel for what the cards do. On to the second replay, and you'll see that this replay is also going to feature the live twin stuff, as we didn't see that in the previous replay, and it's just another way that you can go with the deck, because the live twin and evil twin stuff are level link 2s. So we'll see that the Spright starter is going to be activated by the player in blue. The player in blue is then going to get the Spright blue, which can special summon itself and get its effect, getting the carrot. And now we can get a special summon of the Jet, and this is just full combo, as the Imperm is going to hit the gigantic Spright here per usual, but I say that this is full combo just because you have the interrupt off of carrot in order to out the Imperm, and there's no more hand traps here in order to interact with his opponent. So you'll see that the Swap Frog is going to get banished for the Ronin Totem, and now we have access to Toad, which the revival effect for this Spright Elf thing, as I'm sorry for this little blue thing here, but keep in mind that if your opponent controls a monster, you can target one rank link 2 monster instead and special summon it. So once you use Toad the first time, you can get it back with Elf, and that's just another insanely strong play that this deck has. So we'll see that the Toad is going to bring out another monster, and I think that's a glitch that we don't see the other material there, but the Toad negation is going to prompt a scoop. So again, just a strong showing from what the Spright deck can do, as we see another hand here with double Fragrance and double Imperm, double Prosperity. Yeah, we'll see the Spright blue get stopped by the Imperm, the Jet comes out, and the gigantic Spright will probably get hit with the second Imperm, which is actually going to make Lambda here. And did I miss something? Is there a reason he didn't go for the... I guess if you don't want to play around the Imperm, it's just weird, but I don't know. Let me know what you would have done in the comments below. I have never played this deck, and as far as the technical play goes, not necessarily somebody who can speak in detail about it, but I do have the generalized idea of what all the cards do, how the decks play, what it takes advantage of, and I can understand going for the Lambda there if you want to play around the second hand trap, but I don't know. I believe in risking it for the biscuit, but you'll see that the carrot and the blue are going to come out, as the red is then going to stop the blue. The Jet is going to come out, which will likely get him the starter, and just being able to loop your Jet with the starter and kind of keep access to that engine is insane, as we're going to see the Zeus come here. And like I said, the 4 material Zeus against Spright is extremely strong, as we're going to see the Zeus take over this match. And the player in red only has 2 hand traps that unfortunately he has no use in using right now, as the Prosperity is gonna dig for 3, adding the Diva, which he can Gamma the Diva in order to not lose, but he won't, as he doesn't want to play into the second Spright in hand, as he's probably holding it for the rank 2. So yeah, never use it on the Diva. That was just me kind of speed talking and kind of just watching and trying to process everything that I'm watching. But you'll see that the gigantic Spright is going to come out, and that's going to be met by the Gamma, as the red is going to then stop the Gamma, bring out the Swap Frog with the gigantic Spright. The Swap Frog gets its effect. Now he can go into the Spright Elf with the gigantic and the swap. The DD Crow is going to hit the Spright Elf, and from here we're going to see a Swap Frog normal summon, which is going to get hit by the Ogre. The Ogre is going to be sent to the graveyard as the Ronin Totem comes back off of the effect by banishing Swap Frog, and now the Spright Elf can special summon back the Jet in order to add starter, and that's going to prompt the scoop. For this portion of the video, I'll be giving you guys a deck profile that I put together to be sort of a skeleton for people looking to pick up the deck. Don't take this as a set deck list. This is just a mix of some of the things I've seen going around, and there's other level 2s that you can play if you want a higher chance of seeing them. But to get onto the deck list, you'll see the 3 blue, the 3 jet, the 2 carrots, and the 2 reds, which is the standard ratio for these, which is what I'm seeing. The 3 swaps, the 1 dupe, some people don't play this at all, and the Ronin Totem. Then for the last of your level 2s, really, you have the Spright starter, which you special summon 1 Spright monster from your deck. And then the Spright smashers, which is the last of your Spright spells and traps. Now, I'm getting that out of the way because, as you can see, this deck has an insane amount of room for hand traps, and the fact that 3 of these slots are Prosperity just make it that much more consistent. Whether the choices of your hand traps are the Ash, Nib, Veiler, Ogre, Imperms, and Crows, that's up to you. Droll could be here too. But I wanted to go with kind of what I was seeing was the general consensus of the upcoming format, especially since Crows hit the tier limit strategy also. Onto the extra deck, you'll see the access code, the Unicorn, the Phoenix, the 3 Elf, the 3 Gigantic Spright, the 1 Buster, the 1 Phantom Knight Cursed Javelin, the 1 Toad, and your Zeus package with the Sky Cavalry, the Downerd, and the Zeus. As for the side deck, you'll see there's no side deck. Still in the process of kind of learning the new format. I don't usually like to until the cards are finally here, so that I can see kind of how everyone else responds to them. But if I were to say that some cards are mandatory in the side deck right now, I'd probably say Dark Ruler No Mores, some back row removal. The deck devastation viruses could be another strong option, which, as you see, you can actually remove the 3rd Spright Elf here, or you can even take out the Nightmare Phoenix and add the Code Breaker virus, as we were seeing for the deck devastation virus, which is definitely an option, especially for a Spright dominated format. So yeah, for now, kind of take these as your set side deck cards if you are playing the Code Breaker virus. And that's pretty much all for today's video. But anyways, if you made it this far into the video, I thank you for watching. It's Bones, signing out.